This presentation, it's cut down. This is only a 10-minute presentation. It's almost impossible to talk about First Majestic in 10 minutes, believe me. So go to the website, look at the entire presentation. There's lots of really good information in there. But I'm just going to get into some silver facts, and I'll cover off a little bit about the company at the end. So silver, many of you know my views on silver. We're in a market where the miners worldwide, and I just had Daniela just an interview with me with Kitco talking about the same point, because there is a perception out there that there seems to be a ton of silver around. And it's completely false. The miners on a worldwide scale produced 800 million ounces of silver in 2017. We as a human race consumed 1 billion ounces of silver. So, how does one determine that there's a ton of silver around? Production's been dropping consistently for the last 3 or 4 years. A lot of that's due to lack of investment, because there is very, very tight margins in the mining sector right now. So as a miner, we have to be very careful how we deploy capital. But I can tell you today that if we didn't make the big acquisition that we made in October 2015, acquiring Santa Elena, and then the recent acquisition of San Dimas in May of this year, we would actually be producing less silver today than we did 4 or 5 years ago, because we've got 4 mines that are producing less silver. Just because grades are challenged and investments aren't going in there, and it's a very a serious issue. As you know, we're trading at 85 to 1. The ratio today is 85 to 1. And as an industry, the mining sector is producing, for every 1 ounce of gold, only 9 ounces of silver, which is a pretty shocking stat, considering where we're currently trading. I asked earlier today in the panel, how many people in the room are driving electric vehicles? Well, as you probably know, or maybe not, Volkswagen a couple of weeks ago announced that by 2030, they're not going to have a single fuel combustion automobile produced. All the other manufacturers are doing the same thing. Audi just came out with their first electric car in the last couple of weeks, and this ball is not going backwards. We're going electric, and that's simple as that. And that's a lot of demand for silver. There's about 3 times more silver in this electric vehicle than there is in a normal fuel combustion car. Where are they going to get that silver from? Solar panels, they've been around for a long, long time, but it's only in the recent history that it's really started to take off. Last year, we consumed almost 90 million ounces of silver worldwide for the manufacturing of solar panels. In an $800 million market, or 800 million ounce market, 90 million ounces is a lot of silver, and this is going higher. And it's a huge growth area. We flew over Japan just a few months ago. I couldn't believe how many solar panels there were around Tokyo, the airport, all around Japan. There's just solar panels everywhere. We were in Phoenix just a couple of days ago, and all the houses have solar panels on them. So this is really the future. The Saudis, the largest manufacturer of oil and gas, oil in the world. Why are they going solar? Why would the Saudi government build the largest solar farm in the world? This thing is the equivalent of 200 nuclear plants, and it's going to consume 200 million ounces of silver over the construction period, which is going to take about 10 years to build this thing. It's interesting enough that the Saudis are doing this, but again, where are they going to get this silver from? These are all the technologies that we rely on. We take it for granted. But interesting comment came out in one of the speeches earlier today. If you didn't have gold in your portfolio, it wouldn't really matter very much. But having silver, in your life, if having gold in your life wouldn't really have a negative impact on you. But having silver not a part of your life, it would have an extremely negative impact on you and all of us. We couldn't do this presentation. We couldn't have flown here. Or we couldn't drive. Or nothing would work without silver. And it's completely misunderstood metal. And people need to wake up to the value of silver. So this is the ratio, 85 to 1. It looks very similar to me from the mid-90s. And every time we get up to this mid-80 range, we always see ratio collapse. When that chart is dropping, that's when silver is outperforming gold. So back in 2010, 2011, that's when ratio collapsed down to 31. I think this time around it's going to be quite a bit different, and it's going to be long-term sustaining. It's not going to go back up to 85 ever again, in my view. And this is quite an interesting chart. This shows the COT report, and a lot of people, David Morgan, who was just on the stage a few minutes ago, Ted Butler, a lot of people are talking and pointing at this. It's very unusual. We have a situation where we've got all the hedge funds short and retail investors short, and all the commercials are long. The commercials are always right, the hedge funds are always wrong. So there's a perfect storm coming in our view. So just quickly going into the company, I see I've got 4 minutes left. We're predominantly silver. We're the purest silver company in the world. Over almost 60% is in revenues from silver. A little over 30 is from gold. So we're very much a precious metals company. Very little of our production is base metals, lead and zinc. All our assets are in Mexico. We've got 6 producing mines, and you can see by the last 2 bars on this chart, we've had great production growth in the last couple of quarters. And this is the result of the San Dimas mine, which we bought in May, and I don't have a lot of time to talk about that, but it was a mine that I tried buying for a decade, and stars aligned, and we finally were able to put it together over the last year and bring that into our portfolio. The assets are spread around. We're active in 8 separate states. Very well known, very well respected company in Mexico. We know everyone. We know all the governors. We're close to the government. It's a great place to be as an operator. I personally think it's one of the best places to be as a mining company in the entire world. And it's in our same time zone, and there's a lot of silver. Mexico is the largest silver producer in the world, and First Majestic is the 2nd largest silver producer in Mexico. And the growth over the last few years. Now, I said earlier that we've got 4 mines that are actually producing less silver today, and you can see on that bar chart, you saw the little increase of production there in 2016 when we brought Santa Elena on, or purchased Santa Elena, and that was a big acquisition for us at the time. That mine is currently producing about $10 million in free cash flow per quarter, $40 million a year. And then 2017 it was a down because the other mines were struggling. Santa Elena is still an engine of profits. San Dimas then was brought into our portfolio. We're getting $30 million in free cash per quarter, $120 million in free cash per year from this mine at current metal prices. Can you imagine when silver and gold start to move again? It's already making a ton of money, and this thing is just going to it'll be like a bank. And you see the future production there as investment continues. This is BMO's presentation. This is their, they put out a silver report every month, and this is their 2019 estimates for the mining sector. And when I put this company together back in 2002, all of these companies were over 50%, and virtually none of them are today. What does that tell you? It tells me that silver is a lot rarer than people think it is, and it's very difficult to find a good silver mine. If you talk to the CEOs that run these companies, they'll tell you the only way they could have grown their business is buying a gold mine. There was just no silver mines around. And our share price, this is the most liquid mining stock, I think, in the world. It trades its entire float every single quarter. The institutions love it. They trade it like crazy. You can see this move that happened in 2016. It's the 2nd time that's happened, or in the life of the company. And this move was only a $7 move in silver prices. This is when silver went from $13.50 just to under $21 in the first 6 months of 2016, and our stock went up $21. It hit $25 or $26 in August of 2016 from a $4 price. That's exactly a 3 times move, and it does that all the time. So for every dollar change in the silver price, our stock changes by $3. And interestingly enough, back before this run started, there was a short position at that time in January of 2016 of 14 million shares. That during that big run, the shorts, of course, got squeezed, and they had to cover. And by the time the stock topped out at $25, there was only 4 million shares short. Today, you're going to be shocked to hear this number, but today there's 30 million shares short on the company. Right? Most ever in the history of the company. And the reason why that is because of the view that's in the current marketplace. Everyone's short emerging markets, everyone's short metals, everyone's long the US dollar, everyone's long Nasdaq stocks and the S&P stocks. And I personally think that trade is unwinding. I think this market to me looks very similar to 2000, 2001. And over that 3-year period ending in 2003, the Nasdaq dropped 50%. And that was the beginning of the bull market in resources, which started in 2002. And I think we're in the very beginnings of a new bull market in the resource sector. And I see I'm out of time now. Simple story, one country, one metal, and always looking for new ways to grow. Thank you.